Welcome to the Aligned Soul and Purpose podcast, where I empower working women to align their soul with their careers, rediscover themselves, and find joy in womanhood, motherhood, and work. I'm your host, Rosy Marquez, and I'm so excited to have you here today. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the hustle, like you're constantly doing, but never truly being, this episode is for you. Today, we're diving into a topic that I believe resonates deeply with so many women. How to reconnect with your soul when you feel lost in the busyness of life. Let me tell you, I've been there. For years, I felt like I was lost, always trying to figure out what made me happy, but I just couldn't figure it out. I spent so much time focusing on being a mother, a teacher, a wife, roles that I love deeply, but I lost myself in the process. And I kept wondering, what do I actually want? Why am I always so irritable? What makes me happy? It wasn't until I began to reconnect with myself that I realized how important it is to honor my own soul. Now that I'm living a life filled with self-love and peace, I want to help other women just like you find their way back to their true selves too. I want to share a little bit about my journey. So my teaching journey has been one of passion, purpose, and deep transformation. I earned my bachelor's degree and teaching credential at just 21, diving into the world of education with a heart full of enthusiasm. As a classroom teacher, I did more than teach subjects. I nurtured young minds, encouraged curiosity, and helped my students see their own potential. As I transitioned into roles like curriculum specialist and academic coach, my impact extended beyond my own classroom. I developed strategies to make learning more engaging, mentored fellow educators, and created programs that help students succeed on a deeper level. I wasn't just shaping lessons, I was shaping futures. Becoming a mentor and adjunct professor allowed me to pour into aspiring teachers, equipping them with the skills and mindset to make a real difference. I loved watching them grow just as much as I loved seeing my students gain confidence and step into their full potential. For years, I dedicated myself to education, and I saw firsthand how powerful knowledge and connection can be. I was there for the struggling student who needed encouragement, the high achiever who needed a challenge, and the teacher who needed guidance. Teaching wasn't just my job, it was my purpose. The problem was that as I went through that journey of education, I also began to realize that my own personal growth was being sidelined. I had become so focused on helping others that I lost touch with my own needs and desires. Until one day I realized that I was living in a future that might never come. And that is when my spiritual awakening began. My true spiritual transformation began. And these are some of the things that I discovered in that process. I want to share them with you. So even though I've stepped away from the traditional classroom, my heart for transformation has never changed. And so now, through Aligned Soul and Purpose, I continue to teach, inspire, and empower women realign with their true selves and rediscover the joy that comes from living with intention. And today, I want to focus on helping you discover if you've disconnected from your soul. So let's talk about the signs that you may be disconnected from your soul. Because before you can reconnect, you have to recognize when you've slipped out of alignment. Here are some signs to look out for. You're constantly exhausted, even when you sleep enough. When we're disconnected from our soul, even sleep doesn't feel like real rest. You might be getting enough hours of sleep, but you wake up feeling drained. This is because you're expending energy on things that don't align with your purpose, leaving you feeling empty and fatigued. I recall so many times waking up just as tired as when I had laid down the night before. Sometimes I would go to bed with a headache and wake up with a headache. I would wake up with my jaw hurting because I had been clenching my jaw the entire time. Here's sign number 2. You're going through the motions, but nothing feels fulfilling. Does this sound familiar? You're busy, you're productive, but nothing feels fulfilling. You may have crossed off every item on your to-do list, but still feel empty, like something's missing. This is a key sign that your soul isn't being nourished in the way it needs to. I recall adding things to my to-do list just to be able to cross them off, to prove to myself and maybe even to others that I was doing so many great things, that I was a great person because I was able to do all of these things on a daily basis. But I was only lying to myself because all of this doing wasn't allowing me to be. And that's what sign number 3 is. You struggle to enjoy the present moment because your mind is always on what's next. Does your mind race through the day, always anticipating what's next? Whether it's a work meeting, picking up the kids, or preparing dinner, you're thinking about the next thing before you even enjoy the moment you're in. This constant forward thinking can prevent you from being truly present with yourself. This happened for so many years for me. I was constantly living in this dream future, but I wasn't creating it in the moment to enjoy it. Always living in this future that might never come. Because in that moment, when that new thing is done, there's a new one ready to take place. Sign number 4. You've stopped doing things just for you. Things that bring you joy, peace, or creativity. When was the last time you did something purely for yourself? If you stopped engaging in hobbies or activities that make you feel alive, like painting, journaling, walking outside, or even just sitting in silence, your soul is crying out for attention. These are the moments when we reconnect with who we truly are. But if we're not even doing these things, then when are we connecting with ourselves? For a long time, I didn't even know what I liked. Sign number 5. You crave change, but don't know where to start. Have you ever felt like you want something to change, but you have no idea where to begin? It's like there's a sense of restlessness inside, but the path forward feels unclear. The feeling is common when we're disconnected from our core. Our soul longs for alignment, but the way forward isn't always obvious. Sign number 6. You feel like you're losing yourself in the roles you play. For many women, especially mothers and wives, it's easy to lose yourself in the roles you fulfill for others. You start to define yourself only by your work, your family, and responsibilities, forgetting that there's so much more to you than these roles. Your soul needs more than just doing, it needs being. How many times do we say, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a teacher? Insert blank here. But all of those things are things that we do, not things that we are. Sign number 7. You feel anxious or overwhelmed, but you don't even know why. Feeling anxious and overwhelmed without a clear reason, that could be your soul's way of telling you that something is out of alignment. When we ignore our soul's true desires, it can manifest in anxiety or a feeling of being lost. And we've normalized this idea of being anxious, of having anxiety. But why? Why are we so anxious? Is it because we're constantly living in the future? Is it because we're constantly worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet? We need to step away from normalizing that because it's our body's way of telling us something needs to change. So now that we've talked about the signs of disconnection, let's shift gears to discuss how you can reconnect with your soul. Because no matter where you are at right now, there's always a way back to alignment. So here are some powerful ways to start your journey of reconnection. Let's start simple. Something so simple like pausing and breathing. When was the last time you took a real deep breath and checked in with yourself? Sometimes all it takes is a pause, a moment of stillness to reconnect with your soul. So I want to invite you to do this with me right now. Let's inhale for a count of 4. We're going to hold it for a count of 4 and then exhale for a count of 6. When you're ready, inhale. Notice how just that simple breath can bring you back to the present moment. When I do this, I feel a sense of warmth running through my body, and it brings me back to the present moment. A second way to reconnect is to ask yourself, what do I need right now? Not what your family needs, not what your job needs, but what do you need? Often we get so caught up in everybody else's needs that we forget to check in with our own. Whether it's a nap, movement, creativity, or just silence, honoring your soul's needs will lead you back to alignment. And it will manifest physically. For example, I lived with migraine headaches for years. At least 8 of them the last time I was thinking back as like, how long was it that I dealt with this? And I just took it as this is normal because my mom has dealt with this, my sister, my aunts, my grandma. It's just hereditary. And it isn't. It is not at all. And I never realized it until I stopped and began to do breath work, which I can talk about that at a later time. But it's pretty much back to that same one. The first way to reconnect, pause and breathe. Like my body was telling me to relax, take a moment for me, and breathe. Like oxygen, your brain needs oxygen. That's why you have these migraines. You're not even breathing deep enough to provide the enough oxygen for your brain. I used to drink Tylenol like if it was a vitamin because it was like a daily thing that I had this migraine headache. It was so bad that at points I would lose my eyesight on one of my eyes. The pressure was horrible. And now I don't even have Tylenol in my house. It's been a year since I have taken one Tylenol. Anytime I feel that a migraine is coming, I pause and breathe. I ask myself what I need, and the migraine is gone within 10 minutes. Skill number 3, or I should say, third way to reconnect with yourself. Create soulful moments in your day. Reconnecting with your soul doesn't have to be a huge life overhaul. Like nobody has time for that. It's not achievable if you sit there and try to throw everything out the window and start fresh. It's about creating small, meaningful moments that feed your soul throughout the day. Maybe it's enjoying a cup of tea in peace, a cup of coffee as you walk, taking a walk outside with your dog, taking a walk outside by yourself, or journaling for 5 minutes. These moments don't have to be long, but they do need to be intentional, and they need to be included on our schedules, because we already know how we feel about schedules. If it's not on our schedule, it's not going to happen. A fourth way to reconnect, is to spend time in nature. Nature has an incredible way of grounding us. When you're feeling lost or disconnected, step outside. Feel the sun on your face. Breathe in fresh air. Step barefoot on grass. And allow nature to help you come back to yourself. Even a short walk can help you reconnect with your body and your soul. Even if you live in the city, take time to go to a place, a park that has trees around you, and just sit there. Hear the birds. You'll notice a huge shift in the way your body feels by just spending a few minutes doing that. And as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't have to be a long time. A few minutes will make a huge difference in your day. The fifth way to reconnect with yourself is to let go of the shoulds. Do you ever feel like you're constantly living by the shoulds of life? The shoulds are the things we do out of obligation, not inspiration. This leads to burnout and disconnection. Start noticing when you're doing things because you should, and see where you can shift your actions to align with what you want to do instead. The way we speak is very important. When we say things like, I have to go make dinner, instead of, I want to go make dinner. Saying things like, I have to go to the gym, instead of, I want to go to the gym. Or, I should be reading a book right now, instead of, I want to read a book right now. All of that is a shift in mindset. So stop worrying about all of the shoulds that other people think that you should be doing, and instead do the things that you want to be doing. Before we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with a practice you can use anytime you feel disconnected from your soul. It's called the 3-minute soul check-in, and here's how it works. You'll find a lot of similarities with the things that we talked about earlier, and it's very applicable on a daily basis. So first, find a quiet space, even if it's just the bathroom for a minute. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Place your hand on your heart and ask, what does my soul need right now? And then listen. Don't force an answer. Just notice what comes up. You may have a lot of things come up, or you may have nothing come up. Take one small action to honor that need. Make sure that you take action. Make sure that you are pausing to listen to yourself. And that's it. Just 3 minutes can help bring you back into alignment. I hope that today's episode helped you understand the signs of disconnection and gave you some practical ways to reconnect with your soul. Remember, your soul is never lost. It's always there, waiting for you to slow down and listen. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Screenshot this episode, share it on Instagram, and tag me at Aligned Soul and Purpose. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was or how you've been able to reconnect with your soul. And if you're craving more support on this journey, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Find me on Facebook under Rosy Marquez. Send me a DM, and I'd love to continue working with you. Until next time, take a deep breath, honor your soul, and remember, you are exactly where you're meant to be.